Many today are telling us that famine is coming, and from the looks of things, from a worldly perspective, it is not looking good for this world. We know from the Word of God, in the end, this whole world will pass away. So, what should Christians do with what we see coming for this world? Well, today we are going to look at the story of Joseph and how the God of heaven moved in such a way to provide for his people so that they would not perish. My hope is that this study will give you strength and encouragement to prepare your heart so that you can face anything in this life. If you are needing encouragement today, this is the Bible study that you will not want to miss. If you haven't yet, please go grab your Bibles and we will get into the Word of God. Welcome to Digging Deep with Casey. If this is your first time watching, of course, my name is Casey, and thank you so much for joining me today. If you've been joining me for weekly Bible studies, welcome back. First of all, I want to tell you that I've been trying to get this Bible study out to you all for 2 weeks now, but I've had nothing but a horrible time. First, my laptop crashed and corrupted the video, so I went and purchased a new laptop, and I have had nothing but issues recording with it. So we are going to give it a try today, and hopefully, Lord willing, there will be no more issues. I am not sure why it has just been this particular study. I've been able to work on all the other ones that I have, just not this one. So someone needs to hear this message today, and the devil has tried to stop it. The Bible study that we are going to do today is over the life of Joseph and the things that he went through for God to position him to provide for his family through 7 years of famine. Before we begin, I want to say that I recently did another study over famine that has already been plaguing our land for some time, a famine of the Word of God. You can find that video linked in the description below, and I'll also link it to the end of this video if you want to watch it later. Today we are going to be reading about Joseph. Now this story is really long, so I'm going to paraphrase a lot of it by telling you the story, but please take the time this week to go back and read it for yourself so you can see all of the ways that God moved in Joseph's life to provide for him and his family. God moved huge mountains placed in his life by people who chose evil rather than good. The story of Joseph begins in Genesis chapter 37. Joseph was the 11th son of Jacob, but the first son of Rachel. If you remember, Jacob loved Rachel, but her father Laban tricked him into marrying her sister Leah. And later he married Rachel, and you can find this story in Genesis chapter 29. Now, I find this story really interesting because Jacob was tricked by Laban, just like he tricked his father Isaac to give him his brother Esau's birthright in Genesis chapter 27. Anyway, back to Joseph. He was resented by his jealous brothers because he was his father's favorite and because of his dreams. So they sold him into slavery to a passing caravan of Ishmaelites. Let's read about this in Genesis chapter 37, verses 3 through 11. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all of his children because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all of his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it to his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose and also stood upright, and behold, your sheaf stood round about, and made obedience to my sheaf. And his brethren said to him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us, or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obedience to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth? And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the saying. God moved mountains in Joseph's life The first one was that his brothers didn't kill him, but sold him into slavery. From there, he was sold to Potiphar in Genesis chapter 37, verse 36. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's and captain of the guard. Now God blessed Joseph in Potiphar's house because the Lord was with Joseph, and the Bible states this in chapter 39, verse 2. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. Joseph was successful because the Lord made all that he did prosper in his hands. So take a mental note. Joseph was sold into slavery, yet God was still with him and made everything that he put his hands to prosper. Then Joseph was tempted by Potiphar's wife, and he refused her, which landed him in prison. But God was still with Joseph, as we see in Genesis chapter 39, verse 21. But the Lord was with Joseph, and showed him mercy, and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. God gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. Then the butler and the baker offended the king of Egypt, and they were put into prison, but Joseph was put in authority over them while they were jailed. Both the butler and the baker had dreams, and Joseph interpreted these dreams for them. The Pharaoh had a birthday feast, and he restored the chief butler. But he hung the baker according to the interpretation Joseph had given. But the butler forgot about Joseph in prison. So 2 full years passed, and then the Pharaoh had a dream, and all the magicians of Egypt and all the wise men could not interpret the dream. Then the butler remembered Joseph and that he had interpreted dreams correctly. Joseph comes before Pharaoh and interprets the dream, and this is where I want to put the focus on today, the prophesied famine to come. Joseph interprets the dream of 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. Let's read about this in Genesis chapter 41, verses 25 through 36. And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one. God hath showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good kine are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kind that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh, what God is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt, and there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of that famine following, for it shall be very grievous. And for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice, it is because the thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years. And let them gather all of the food of those good years to come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. And that food shall be for store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine. Notice God showed Pharaoh what he was going to do and repeated the dream 2 times to show God was going to bring it to pass very soon. Pharaoh seeing this interpretation was good. Let's keep reading in verses 37 through 43. And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of all of his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, can we find such a one as this is, a man in whom the Spirit of God is? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, forasmuch as God hath shown thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, See, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand, and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had. And they cried before him, Bow the knee. And he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. So Joseph was made chief steward over Pharaoh's house. Today, it would probably be equivalent to being a prime minister. So the 7 years of plenty happened, then 7 years of famine. Let's keep reading in verses 53 through 57. And the 7 years of plenteousness that was in the land of Egypt were ended, and the 7 years of dearth began to come, according as Joseph had said. And the dearth was in all lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. And when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, Go unto Joseph, what he saith to you do. And the famine was all over the face of the earth, and Joseph opened all the storehouses, and sold unto the Egyptians. And the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt, and all countries came into Egypt to Joseph for to buy corn, because that the famine was so sore in all the lands. Now, here is the miracle of the Lord. Joseph's dream that he told his father and his brothers is about to come to pass years later. Jacob saw there was corn in Egypt, so he sent 10 of his sons to go buy corn so that they would not die. Joseph's brothers bowed down to him in chapter 42, verse 6. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and he it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth. Joseph then requests for them to bring their younger brother Benjamin. Let's read about this in chapter 42, verses 29 through 38. And they came unto Jacob their father unto the land of Canaan, and told him all that befell unto them, saying, The man who is the Lord of the land spake roughly to us, and took us for spies of the country. And we said unto him, We are true men, we are no spies. We be 12 brethren, sons of our father. One is not, and the youngest is this day with our father in the land of Canaan. And the man, the Lord of the country, said unto us, Hereby shall I know that ye are true men. Leave one of your brethren here with me, and take food for the famine of your household, and be gone. And bring your youngest brother unto me. Then shall I know that ye are no spies, but that ye are true men. So will I deliver you your brother, and ye shall traffic in the land. And it came to pass, as they emptied their sacks, that behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. And when both they and their father saw the bundles of money, they were afraid. And Jacob their father said unto them, Me have ye bereaved of my children. Joseph is not, and Simeon is not, and ye will take Benjamin away. All these things are against me. And Reuben spake unto his father, saying, Slay my 2 sons. If I bring him not to thee, deliver him into my hand, and I will bring him to thee again. And he said, My son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he is left alone. If mischief befall him by the way in the which ye go, then shall ye bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave. We then see the famine gets worse, and when all the corn that they had brought from Egypt was gone, Jacob let Benjamin go to Egypt. And they had a feast at Joseph's house, and Joseph gave Benjamin 5 times as much as he did the other brothers. Joseph had their sacks filled with as much as they could carry, but had a silver cup put in Benjamin's sack as a final test. Let's read about this in chapter 44, verses 1 through 5. And he commanded the steward of his house, saying, Fill the men's sacks with food as much as they can carry, and put every man's money in his sack's mouth. And put my cup, the silver cup, in the sack's mouth of the youngest, and his corn money. And he did according to the word that Joseph had spoken. As soon as the morning was lit, the men were sent away, they and their donkeys. And when they were gone out of the city, and not yet far off, Joseph said unto his steward, Up, follow after the men, and when thou dost overtake them, say unto them, Wherefore have ye rewarded evil for good? Is not this it in which my Lord drinketh, and whereby indeed he divineth? Ye have done evil in so doing. So the cup was then found in Benjamin's sack, so they were brought back to Joseph. And Judah pleaded to not keep Benjamin, that their father would die if he seen that they returned without their younger brother. Let's read this in chapter 45, verses 1 through 8. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him, and he cried, Cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians in the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Doth my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. And Joseph said unto his brethren, Come near to me, I pray you. And they came near. And he said, I am Joseph your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither. For God did send me before you to preserve life. For these 2 years hath the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years, in the which there shall neither be earing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but God, and he hath made me a father to Pharaoh, and lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. I don't know about you, but this part of the story always chokes me up because we can see the heart of Joseph. This is also the climax of the story where Joseph forgives them and tells them that it was not you that sent me here, but God to position me to preserve our family through this horrible famine. My friends, that is the God that we serve, and He changes not. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. We see it pleased Pharaoh that Joseph found his family, and they were invited to live in the land of Egypt to eat the fat of the land where Jacob was reunited with his beloved son Joseph. We see God provided for his people. Jesus came from Judah, the fourth son of Jacob and Leah. So you see, God has a plan for his people, but we must have faith to believe that with God, all things are possible. You see, we must not fear the things coming on this earth, but have faith in our God. Even if things do not look good, he can give his people favor and provide for them so that they will not perish. Our God is bigger than our circumstances, so trust God because faith is greater than fear. If this study has encouraged you today, please consider liking and sharing this video with your friends and family. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so that you won't miss when I upload new videos every Tuesday. Until next time, take care and stay in the Word.